Our viewers, we welcome you to Liz Levig TV, this session of counseling. And today, we have our visitor, we have our guest, all the way from Wamunyua, and her name is Mercy. And because Mercy is here, I'll give her an opportunity to greet you and to give you her full name and tell us where she comes from. Mercy, karibu sana, most welcome to Liz Levig TV, and we are happy to have you here. I want you to look at the camera, greet our viewers, and give them your full name and tell them where you come from.
So hello viewers, my name is Mercy. I am Mercy Wamunyua. I am a counseling psychologist. I come from Wamunyua, and that is where I have based my office. Yeah, so I work in Wamunyua and I work around schools, and I'm very glad to be at Liz TV. It's an honor.
So your office is at Wamunyua?
Yeah, my office
not
is
in Nakuru?
No, not in Nakuru.
Yeah,
but it is in Nakuru County. My office is based at in Wamunyua, just opposite the chief's office.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Now, Mercy, nice to meet you. Take us through your education life.
My education life has been exciting, and of course every day is a learning day.
Yes.
I've done counseling psychology, and I'm actually going to do my master's. I want to specialize with sexuology.
Oh,
yeah, I'm interested in the matters of sex, so I specialize in sexuology. Yes.
Great. Where do you want to do your master's from?
I was planning to do it at Nairobi University, but I did my bachelor's at St. Paul's University. Yes.
Okay, tell us a bit about your career. When did you begin counseling?
Yeah, I began...
What have you been doing with yourself?
Yes, I began counseling back at 2016. That's when I started with my first client, because I was not fortunate to go to school immediately after I completed my secondary education. I had to first, I got married, and then my husband took me to the university.
After Form 4?
No,
after Form 4 you got
after
married?
Form 4 I got married. Yeah, my parents were not rich, or they were not fortunate enough to take me to the university. So I had to hustle my way, and then later I was taken back to school by my husband. Yeah, so I began my counseling journey after I graduated in 2016. That is when I began working. I began in schools. I have worked in 2 rehabilitation centers, but currently I work in schools, and I work now in my office. I hold seminars, I hold retreats for teenagers and things like that.
Okay. Wow. Now, I believe today our topic is sex addiction, right?
Yes.
So tell us, what is sex addiction?
Sex addiction is actually, to begin with, it's a very exciting topic. And it's a topic that is not discussed openly as it should be discussed, because a lot of people do not have the knowledge about it. Sex addiction, it is when you feel compelled to engage in sexual activities for you to feel normal, or for you to feel sober. It is when your sexual activities become unmanageable, or even when your sexual thoughts, or when you cannot even be able to control your sexual thoughts. Your sexual thoughts can interfere with your day-to-day living. At that point, that is when we say somebody is sexually addict.
So, Mercy, you want to tell me there are people, unless they have sex, they won't be able to function. It's just like any other addiction of bangi, whatever. They feel if they don't take water, drinking, cigarettes, all those things. And there are people who feel if they don't do it, they don't feel normal.
Actually, you have asked a good question, because we can relate sex addiction with any other type of like any other type of addiction. A sex addict person is like an alcoholic, somebody who is addicted with alcohol. It is like an alcoholic. Their life is unmanageable. They are not close to their family. Their life revolves around alcohol. So when we talk about a sex addict, it's somebody who their life revolves around sex. And when we talk about their life revolving around sex, it's not only penetrative sex. We are talking about sexual activity.
Tell us about these activities now. It's becoming interesting. Because I thought it was about sex itself. So there are other activities surrounding it.
Yes.
Tell us about them.
Oh yeah, a lot of people think that when we talk about sex addiction, we are talking about penetrative sex. But it is not about penetrative sex. Sex addiction, it is about every other activity surrounding sex. And there are different types of sexual activity. And one of the examples is masturbation. Masturbation is a sexual activity. There are people who are sex addict, but they've never had penetrative sex. They've been doing masturbation. The other one is something like pornographic, and it is not only viewing pornographic as a video. There are people who are addicted in seeing nude people.
What?
You know, watching magazines. There are people who are addicted to just going and seeing somebody bathing. The pornographic part of.
There are people who will even hide and look through windows.
Yes, just to see that.
To make sure they have seen that.
They've seen that. And it's an addiction in its own form. There is another form of sexual activity we call exhibitionism. It is where a person would want to reveal their genitals to somebody, and that one gives them a lot of pressure and excitement, and that is something that is happening a lot during these times. You can see it even in the matatus, in this public transport. You can see people, unapatana tu na mtu anatoa mwili yake kutoa tu hivyo, and then akuonyeshe, it brings them pressure.
They want people to view.
Yes, just see. When especially this is very common in men, when they are urinating hapo kwa kona, when they see a woman, it's not urinating, they want to turn and then you see it. When you see it, it gives them excitement. And there is another form we call voyeurism. That is where somebody would go in a concealed place, and then they would be watching somebody maybe bathing or naked, and then they would masturbate with that person in mind. And in this form, that the other person is not seeing them. So all these are forms of sexual activity. There are others that pay for sex. There are others that sell themselves for sex. There are sex that we call, it's like a competition. There are all other forms of sexual activity that excites you sexually. Yes, so it's not only about penetrative sex.
We shall have to go deep next time. But now tell us, what are the symptoms of sex addiction? Can you see a person walking along the streets and know, or maybe live with a person and know this one is a sex addict?
Mostly, when we talk about sex addiction, it is something that is very secretive.
Yes.
Even the sex addicts are very secretive. And you can even be married or marry a sex addict, and you will maybe know it later on in life. You're living with a sex addict, but you do not know. So when we talk about the symptoms and the signs that you can want to see if somebody is a sex addict, this one we only speak to the sex addict themselves, and they will be able to know. If somebody is not doing voyeurism where they are taking out their genitals, and you're seeing now, you can say this one is a sex addict. Or if somebody is spending so much time looking for prostitute, or even standing there, so many people who waste a lot of time wanasimama tu kwa stage. When wamama wanashuka gari, singo yao inainuka tu kidogo. That only seeing that candidate, it excites them so much.
Just before you continue,
yes.
Now I'm trying to relate this because there is a town I went to. I went to Chuka town, and I was talking about that story another time, and I really feared a lot going to that town because I saw a man lifting women's clothes.
Yeah.
So I didn't know whether this was a mad person or it's. I mean, in fact, me, I assumed it was a mad person. But when I asked, because when I went back to the house and I talked about it, I was told he does it. He enjoys lifting ladies' clothes. And I feared a lot. And that day, you know me, I normally wear long suits. When I go out, I don't wear like this. And I think I got the phobia from the idea that somebody can.
But you know, people think that he is mad. What they don't know is that he is sick. And he needs help. He is sick. That is sex addiction in its extreme levels. You'd want to know that you're a sex addict. Maybe you have constant arousal. Every time, even after sex, you're still feeling that you're sexually aroused. And or maybe you would want to know if you're a sex addict, if you're using a lot of time. A lot of time thinking about sex, a lot of time contemplating how am I going to have sex, a lot of time even following a woman, you know, or even following a man, or even how you look at your thought pattern. Are they being affected by the way you talk, the way you address people? Because there are people who will talk, but until they bring a sex related topic, they are not going to feel.
They are not going to feel good.
They are not
so
going to feel good.
every topic you have to end up in sex.
Yeah, they have to start telling you look beautiful, and then they will start feeling sexualized. So you also a sex addict, you can know them by how much time do they even view the pornography. You know, there are people who view pornography even maybe once a week, but when you talk about sex addiction, they view it, and if they don't view it, they feel guilty and they will view it again and again and again. So you would want to know a sex addict by the life that they are living. How much money are you using with the sex stars?
And there was also another man when I was in school. He used to come near the dormitories. And in fact, he used to be a brother to the headmaster. So he used to come there, and every girl, it's like girls had known him. So every girl comes in front of him, and you are what? And then he is now in the book. You see, he's suffering a lot. Every girl, even if it was a matter of coming there and befriending one girl, that was another case. And this was a normal man who used to come there, and he's in a suit, he's smart, but he comes there every day and looks at the girls, and you even sympathize with him, because every girl who comes, hugs, every girl who comes, at the end of the day, he's so devastated because no one wants him for sex.
He was gaining pressure in doing that. But of course, any form of addiction is very tiring and it's very time consuming. He's wasting a lot of time doing that, and sometimes he even tells himself, I'm not going to do it again. I'm never going to repeat this. But he also finds himself repeating, because it is something that is out of control. It is something that he cannot be able to manage. Yes.
Is there any relationship between sex addicts and sex offenders?
There might be a relationship between sex addicts and sex offenders, because if you have to abuse somebody sexually, then again you have to be compelled to do that. A lot of people, and not every person, but a lot of people who abuse or offend somebody sexually, a lot of them are sex addicts. Or they might be in a state where they're developing, their sex addiction is going higher. Because sex addiction has its own stages. It first of all begins with the stages of fantasizing. The only thing this person is doing, and maybe they're even virgins, the only thing this person is doing, they are wasting a lot of time fantasizing about this woman, about this man, fantasizing. And then we go to the other stage where they are starting to try and actualize whatever they have been fantasizing about. So they want to go and touch that woman. The way you would even walk on the street and you would know that man ameniguza akijua. Anataka tu mpitane naye akugonge tu, akuguze tu. So when it comes to the second stage, and then that stage is where it is full blown. There's nothing like the man that you have said anainua mama nguo, anafanya sasa vituko ambazo zinaonekana kwa in the open.
So now, madam, this is very dangerous, because these people, we are living with them in our houses. They are our fathers, our boyfriends, our relatives. And if they have this problem now, tell us, how can we live with them? Because how do we know that they are like that? And again, they can be dangerous. They can still turn out to be sex offenders. Can we even say that these fathers who end up messing up with their daughters, they are sex addicts who turn out to be sex offenders? How do we live with such people, and how can we protect ourselves?
So one, if you want to live with a sex addict, you have to first of all identify that they are sex addicts. Because there are so many signs that we see that our person is a sex addict, but we brush it under the carpet and we think, maybe a misdiagnosing. You'd see your man spending so much time blousing. You see your woman sex chatting so much, and then you'd think, it's just sex chatting. It is just in the web. It is just, you just say, ataacha. But you first of all have to realize if they are, recognize whether they are sex addict, and maybe bring it to their attention. Tell them this is getting out of hand. And one thing that you need to know is that you cannot be able to help a sex addict if you are not a counselor. Because you need to take them to a professional, and even to a rehabilitation center. And a lot of things happen. A lot of sex addicts abuse substance. They don't abuse substance because they want to abuse substance. They abuse substance because substance becomes as a cover. Akivuta bangi unasema ni bangi, si bangi. Anakunywa pombe unafikiria ni pombe, si pombe. There is another underlying issue beneath the alcohol, beneath the bang.
Like even that man that we are seeing in the streets, who does that, he stays there at a particular point in that town, lifting people's clothes and ladies' clothes. So can we say that maybe he's not even mad, but he's now, because people say he's a mad person.
Yes.
But mad doing what? Lifting?
And he's strategic.
Yes.
He's very strategic. Yes. So you cannot say that he is mad. Okay, we will take him to a rehabilitation center in a cover that we are taking a mad person. But are we treating the madness, or are we supposed to treat the underlying issue? So if you have somebody who you think is a sex addict, then they need help. It's addiction like.
But there are others who are very smart, as we are saying. People who we interact with on daily basis, our colleagues, or what?
Yes.
You see this kind of behavior.
Yes. So first of all, if it is your colleague and it is
they are not mad people, but they are sex addicts.
Yes, and they are very sober, and they are able to hide their tracks very well. Yeah. So when you realize that somebody is a sex addict, you can be able to bring it to their attention that I have realized that you have this and this issue. But if also you know that maybe you have a partner who is a sex addict, then you have to start taking the warning signs, because you cannot start leaving your children with them. You cannot start trusting them as much as you used to, and then you try and talk to them. But there are so many people who are sex addicts, but in disguise. They are wearing suits, they are very beautiful.
Yes,
because sex addiction is something that is hidden. Very hidden. They do it in a lot of secrecy.
Is there one gender that is more prone to this, or it applies to all genders?
A sex addiction applies to both gender, that is male and female, but the biggest percent of sex addicts are men. Yes. The biggest sex addicts are men, but also women become sex addicts, but in a smaller percent. And it's because even the way our culture relates sexually. Sex in our culture, it is mostly for men. It's like a men domain. But for women, we are like they just receiving. They have sex with us when they want, not when we want. So a lot of men, because they hold sex as a weapon of power, they hold sex as something to show them their manhood. They end up becoming more sex addicts. And again, because men are even easily aroused than even women. So a lot of men are sex addicts. Yes. But we also have women that are sex addicts. Yes.
Now, that brings us to the next question of whether there is treatment for that. Because it's like what we say, even these other athletes, they are sick people.
Yes.
So is there treatment for that?
Of course, there is treatment for that, because as I told you before, sex addiction is a mental disease, and it is something that can be treated. So it can be treated in a rehabilitation center. It can be treated for counseling. Somebody can go for counseling. Anaenda counseling, kulingana na counselor wake atamsaidia, ndio anasaidiwa kutoa, because they have this, we call disillusional thoughts. There's something that they have taken away their values and their morals, they have replaced it with something else. So the counselor will help you to come out with positive thoughts about sex, not the ones that you're thinking about. And of course, the counselor is going to help you to take away the guilt and the shame. The reason why we sometimes refer them to a rehabilitation center is when it has gone to the extreme cases. It is that it has become
when it
so
becomes
much
very
unmanageable,
and it is very harmful in the society.
Yes, and it is very harmful. And there's also other treatment if it is hormonal, or it is biological. Somebody has an hormonal issue.
Now that is where I was leading to now, because these other social aspect, you can be talked to, can go to rehabilitation, see counselors, see church people. But if it is inside, if it is inside, then of course the counselor is going to. The counselor is the one who is there
going
medication,
to. There is medication
to reduce.
But sasa counselor yeye atasema sasa hii si mental, sasa hii ni sababu counselor wana work hand in hand na daktari.
Yes.
Si ndio? Sasa ni yeye atasema sasa hapa venye nimeona nimemsaidia akili, but the arousal, the hormones are still kicking too much, or the hormones are still asking, let's give them ile dawa ya kupunguza hiyo libido. Sasa anapewa hiyo dawa ya kupunguza libido. Yes. But sasa ukijua somebody is a sex addict, umpe dawa ya kupunguza libido na utamtengeneza akili, they still go back to their addiction, because everything comes from the brain. Yes.
So now can you advise people, look at that camera, advise people on how to live with these people, the sex addict? Yes. Because as I've said, this is a very delicate issue, my friend. You cannot go and pick out somebody you are a sex addict. Even if you do that, you cannot live with us. They are members of our family, they are colleagues at work, they are people who are very close to us, people we love. Maybe they are even our loved ones. You are the person you love, and there is all this. How do we live with them without hurting them? Really? Because they are hurting us, but how would we live with them without hurting them?
So, first of all, what you need to realize, if your wife or your husband is a sex addict to begin with, they have to be hiding and to be very secretive. They have to be with a lot of secret. And most of the sex addicts, they blame the other partner for whatever they are doing. They will blame you for not being at home at the right time. They will say that you are nagging. They say you are not good in bed. They will say, every other.
Especially that one, the one you have mentioned.
Yes.
Because I know there are even marriages that have broken. Sorry to say that. Because one partner feels the other one is not performing in bed.
Yes.
But that partner who is complaining maybe is an extreme.
Yes.
It's an extreme because
Yes, and that brings the difference. We have different levels of sexual pressure and the energies, different types of sexual energies. There are people who have low sexual energy, and there are people who have high. And saying that you have a high sexual energy, that does not call somebody a sex addict. But saying that you have a low sexual energy, again, does not say that you cannot become a a sex addict. So a lot of people would separate because somebody anakublame at you're not good in bed, but maybe it's because they are going into the levels of sex addiction. So for you to be able to live with a sex addict, first of all, you have to raise your self-esteem and understand that when somebody is blaming you for their own mistakes, then you're not responsible for whatever they are doing. Because again, you cannot live with somebody who is sick. If you're not taking care of yourself, you become two sick people. Now you're not a sex addict, but you're sick mentally, and you can get into depression. The other thing is just if it is your child, you can look for help, and you can let them know they are struggling with something. Let them know they are struggling with something. Because sometimes we know they are struggling with something, but we are not able to tell them because you're afraid of hurting them. But if you tell them and they respect you enough, you will be able to talk it out.
Because I've seen there are even people who claim they are rapes in the marriage.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
There are rapes in the marriage. One, because maybe if it is a woman who is being raped in the marriage, maybe a man cannot has gotten into a level where yeye mwenyewe haezi have enough. Because us as women, we cannot not mostly we can have sex every day because we follow our cycle.
And many times a day.
and many times a day, of course.
And you are so tired doing the other things and then
yes.
So
and when you're living with a sex addict, he will not understand. The only thing that he needs is sex, and that is where maybe rape comes in. We are not saying that every rape comes in because of we are living with sex addicts. No, but a lot of rape in marriage is because somebody has this sexual energy or is compelled to have sex into a way that they cannot be able to manage their sexual feeling. Because having sex is something that you can also be able to control it. It is not supposed to control you. It's supposed to, you're supposed to control it and say, I'm not going to have sex this leo, nitahave kesho, hata kesho inaweza fika, and then upate vitu zingine na uweze. But kama you are a sex addict, always weza kupostpone. Unasikia afadhali nisiende hiyo kazi hata kama inanipea pesa.
And there are men who will marry, leave that woman, is not sexual. Marry another one, leave that one, is not sexual. So these are issues that we need to continue talking about. But for now, I can see we are running short of time. And is there anything else you feel you wanted to add? As we conclude. As we conclude now.
Yes, as we conclude, I would want to say that, as I said earlier, that not every person that has high sexual energy that is a sex addict. And if you feel that you are compelled to thinking about sex most of the time, and you feel aroused most of the time, and your life is revolving mostly around sex, before it comes to the extreme, I would like to tell somebody, start looking for help. Tell somebody that you can trust. Look for a mentor and tell them this is getting out of hand.
Very good.
Yes.
Appreciate one or two people, and also you give people your contact in case there is somebody who would want to follow you from your office there. And of course, tell them whether you'll be coming back to Liz Refuge, whether you are going to make Liz Refuge TV your home.
So I appreciate my clients and all the people that have stood with me for all the years of my career and all my destiny connector. I thank God for them. So as I said before, my names are Mercy Wamunyua, and I am Mercy Wamunyua at Facebook, at Instagram, everywhere is Mercy Wamunyua, and my contacts are 0721 645 100. And Liz TV, of course, it's a beautiful place. I'll come back. We will talk more about sex, and as I told you, I want to specialize about sex. We'll talk more about sex addiction. We'll talk about the causes. We'll also talk about the effect, and of course, how can we treat and how can we help people who have these issues. So if you have an issue, if you have somebody who you think they're suffering from sex addiction, just call me and we'll be able to solve it out. Yes.
Viewers, we are so grateful because you've been with us since we began this session, and we want to appreciate you. And as we keep on saying, we are because you are, And you'll only find this kind of thing in Liz Refuge TV. I promised you that I'll be bringing great people with great topics. So keep following us, and we promise your life will never be the same again. Mercy, we are so grateful that you came. When you go back, greet your people, tell them we love them and we value them. Come again and again and again.
Thank
Make
you so much.
Liz Refuge your home. Thank you very much.
Thank you.